On today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to have an episode where we answer some burning questions. We've talked about questions we get asked all the time. Who does your hair? How long are you actually going to let your beard grow? This quarantine thing is a really flimsy excuse. Who dusts the pedals? Are those all your own guitars? How did this channel come about? But the Beard is going to really talk about a question that we got asked recently and let you know a deep answer to a simple question.
Yeah. So I think we got to tell a story here. We have kind of a friend through YouTube. Let me put Jonathan over at the Tone Lounge. So I don't know. I've watched a lot of his videos. He has a channel that's about twice the size of ours, maybe a little bit more or less. Been doing it for a while. He's been putting out some great content. So if you're not familiar with Jonathan at the Tone Lounge, especially if you like Vox amps, because he has all kinds of great stuff on Vox amps, but he has a lot of other really cool stuff too. Anyway, so I've watched his channel, commented on his channel. He's been watching some of our episodes and commenting. And one day he left a comment on one of our videos that was just like, where do you guys get all these pedals? I think he thought we maybe found a secret stash in the woods somewhere. And, it's a good question, especially from another YouTuber who's, trying to rotate things through his show as well too. And so from there, it was an interesting progression because within a week or two of asking that, he had put out a video where he was answering the question, do I get free stuff? Do I get free gear? And I had left a comment on that. It was like, hey, I'm still, kind of looking forward to your answer on that. So, we're doing this to answer that. But then interestingly, like right after that happened, Shane from In the Blues, who's a channel that I've been watching since long before we ever had any idea about doing a YouTube channel, came out with his video on getting free stuff and getting discounted and getting paid and all that. And that's been followed by kind of like this barrage of other YouTubers that are putting out the same kind of content. So I don't know if we're jumping on the bandwagon here, but I feel like we were asked the question right before that all happened. But Pat and I have been talking about it and like, okay, well, let's try to answer this because it's not something we've avoided because I think, and we'll talk more about this in a minute. We've said we've indicated this, or at least tried to indicate this throughout. But let's just put it in like, what's our approach? How does this happen, kind of thing. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm stuttering right now because I'm trying to think of where would I want to go with this, and I think for part of what we've done is we kind of look at financial things as private things. We've never looked at this as a business, right? We've looked at this as a hobby, as something fun to do. And if it generated a little bit of money to support our habit, great. If not, we get to hang out. But over time, through this question and other things, we've really talked about it a lot more than we've actually documented it. And the Beard took time to put it on our actually newly branded website of some points that we make about the show. So he's not necessarily going to read them verbatim. He's going to give you a high level, and I might have a couple comments after he's done with that.
Yeah, so if you go to pjandthebeard.com, made it one of the first links, kind of I wasn't sure if this is a mission statement, guiding principles, whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of the goals. The initial goal was to have fun and hang out. Boom.
Check.
That was. But over the 2 years that we've been doing this, it's grown a little bit. And so along with that, and I think this was also part of the initial goal, was just to be putting time and effort into something that was ours, that we've created, that, there's no outside influence on, that we're not beholden to or obligated to anybody to do anything. This is ours. We get to say what we want to say, do what we want to do. I feel like there's a song in there somewhere. And all that. So that's like goal number one. Goal number two was to present the stuff that we do in a way that helps people. Tony DeGraw over that does the big long Facebook name. If you go to our community tab on the website, there's a link to his Facebook community. Definitely check it out. But he always talks about the tone journey. He wants to help people with the tone journey. And so we've looked at like any reviews, whether it's a review or a demo or whatever it is that we're doing. How do we do that in a way that shows people whether the pedal or whatever the piece of gear is kind of meets the criteria they're looking for? We're not trying to sell it. We get nothing if you buy it. It means nothing to us personally if you buy it. And then the third thing, we have a lot of respect for people that follow their passion and do what they're passionate about in life and turn that into a business, and, there's that, like, you never work a day in your life if you're doing what you love kind of thing. And so these people are making the gear that we love, the gear that we buy, the gear that we own, the gear that we use. And we want to share that with other people, but also want to share those stories. Because one of the things we found through like the interview series and stuff we're doing, there's some great stories behind these people and they're super likable. And it's almost, I don't know how you feel, Pat, but like after you talk to someone, and we literally just got done with an interview with somebody who's a builder. And you just like, I was ready to buy a ukulele at the end of the thing. You know what I mean? From this guy, because anyway, maybe went too long. I'll let you add.
Well, and that was the passion and the workmanship, right? This was the lowest pitch guy you would ever meet. I mean, wasn't trying to sell anything. We were asking some questions about something to build.
Yeah, really not interested.
Yeah. I mean, it's really been about the journey. And for me, when it comes to the manufacturers and builders and stuff, I'm the one that can tend to be a little starstruck and name drop or whatever. But it's been really interesting to my YouTube partner here have the idea of let's do a series. Let's do a series about Leslie pedals. Okay, well, let's do it because there's probably an infinite number of Leslie pedals. And what are the ones that you should absolutely have in a series like that? And he had one, maybe two, and then was scouring, different places to get them and thought, well, let me just reach out to some of these manufacturers that I love their gear and tell them about the series and ask them if they're willing to help us out, right? And so that continued on into the Tremolo series and now into an envelope series called Shakedown Sound. So it was through that concept of a targeted ask. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to do. We want to include what you do. So a little more organic that way, right? But we've been pretty fortunate, #blessed, if I dare say, to have some of these people actually engage and help us. And we'll talk about the helping part in a second, but have also then taken it to the next level and have given us advice. One of them has done a cameo in a video. Some of them have done full-on interviews with us. And it's just been really great experience with that. And so obviously we get to know them. They get to know us. They help us out. We're really interested in what they do. And we're really interested in telling their stories, because so far, all the people that we've met that have been willing to engage with us have been great people. So it's not like we're, holding up some product that we don't like or some company that we don't believe in or haven't had experience with in most cases. So that's been really another level and layer for us, for me personally, that I think is just great, right? And so, again, it's not about making money. And maybe we're segueing. Jason has a few of the slides from our website from the series of just who some of these companies are. And
yeah. So if we look, like the Shakedown Sound series, and so, because we really did stop and think about this. Are we meeting kind of that obligation to our viewers to let them know when we've been provided with a piece of gear or had a piece of gear discounted? I can say right off the bat, we haven't taken any money, right? We're simply not a big enough channel to warrant being paid to create content,
right?
Whether that's true or not, I mean, that's the way we feel. In fact, we're probably working harder for them than we'll get to that.
Sure.
The Shakedown Sound series, every series that we do has a slide right in the beginning of it that says, "Thank you for helping make this possible." So you can see here on that slide who the companies are that really kind of helped us. Now, what you don't know from that side is who gave us something for free and who gave us a discount on something. And then when you talk about discounts, even that, I mean, that could be a small discount or a large discount. You never,
Right.
and that's the thing that maybe we haven't expressed I don't want to say expressed enough because we'll get to that. Leslie Sound, that was the first series we did. And that logo has changed once or twice. It's had, that logo's changed, I think, maybe one time because later on, Donner Prince helped us out with the pulse. And so I went back and changed that. So now every new Leslie Sound episode that comes out, we'll have a new thing there to show that. And then the other one, the Tremolo series, and that has changed several times as new companies have come into the series. So that's at the top of everyone. If you watch the series openers, we show clips of pedals, and we show clips of the pedals of the people that help make the series happen.
Right.
I don't feel an obligation to show a clip from a pedal that I bought in a Rutter's parking lot per se, or one that I've had. Right. But that's kind of our way of, thanking these companies for participating. It's not, I hope I'm not cutting you off here, Pat, but we're not reaching out and saying, hey, can you send us free stuff? Right. We're reaching out and saying, hey, we're working and putting a lot of effort into this series. We would love for your company to be part of it because we think, that, you have a valuable piece of gear for the series. And if you do, we're going to put your logo in the series. We're going to demo it in the season opener. We're going to do a full episode on it. And we're going to do the full episodes that we do. We're going to start with the companies that helped out. We're going to show your gear on social media. But the one thing that we never say that we're going to do, and the one thing we've never done, is say, you should go buy this piece of gear.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if I have to use this phrase, but kind of in our defense, again, with this being, somewhat organic and very pure, to be quite honest with you, it really did start with tenet number one. That's why it's number one. Let's hang out and have fun together and actually play the gear that we love and gear that we have that we have never even looked at. The pedal board I'm pointing at is across the state over there. For the longest time, I didn't even know what was on there, right? So once we started this and we started having responses from manufacturers that frankly just stunned me personally, how willing they were to engage, I kind of looked at it as like, it's not about money. We don't want to talk about money. And I also looked at it as, you don't talk about your salary, right? You don't ask what somebody else makes. You don't have those types of conversations. So when it came to whether we got it for free, whether we got it for 20 off, whether we got it for artist price, whether we got it for whatever that would be, we never felt it appropriate to say that, right? Because it's kind of a private thing in some ways, right? But never thinking that maybe someone could look at that as us not being forthright, or wow, they're paid shills, or whatever phrase you want to use there. We did it more of kind of a respect thing and a kind of a privacy thing, because one manufacturer gives us 50, one gives us 20, whatever. When we're going to do these series, any bit of help we get is great, because this is all self-funded, right? So when it comes to being
the amount of money we put into it,
sure,
far outweighs the.
Which is why we've never really been until recently, because we also, the other backdrop that we haven't really touched on yet is, but we still want to follow the rules, right? We want to follow the rules, whether they be YouTube rules or whether they be actual laws. So we're kind of getting educated on some of that, but kind of felt maybe compelled to talk about it a little bit, and what we did and how we did it and why we did it, and maybe even leading to some small changes that we're making based on this.
Right. Speaking of small changes, one of the things that I'm starting to do in the editing process, I have two graphics. I don't know, the graphics might change, so I didn't pull them up. But trying to throw a graphic up in the the corner, product provided, product discounted, so people know. I mean, graphics right there. Now there is that check in maybe in the comments, if you stuck with, if you're interested enough that you've watched this long, maybe in the comments, should we be clicking the little paid promotion box? Because I have a little bit, I don't want to say a problem, but I don't feel like these companies are paying us to promote them. I feel like they're giving us discounts or giving us free product. And yes, I get that is a paid promotion, technically. But I've just been struggling with that a little bit. So is it enough that we put a slide up that says who gave it to us, who helped us out, that we say that they helped us out, that we put whether it's discounted or provided? Is that enough, or do you think the box should be checked down below that says paid promotion?
Right.
Because we could go back and we could do that. But I think overall we've been pretty forthright about when a company has said something, we've tried to put in somewhere in the video, hey, this company's helped us out. Interestingly, the one thing we haven't mentioned, Pat, is that now that we've been doing these series long enough, there are companies like NewX has sent us a bunch of stuff. But it started with a relationship that was built through the Leslie Sound series.
Right.
So we initially went to them and said, hey, we would love to do your pedal in this series. I guess they liked what we did enough that they have reached back out to us and said, hey, well, would you be interested in doing this? And typically we say yes.
Yeah,
sure. Right now, why not? We need content. Is there something, we've pushed this longer than we said we were going to push it. Is there something else that you were thinking about?
It's shocking that we've done that. I don't know. I just keep coming back to that. We really only kind of want to review what we want to review as well, right? Like you said, we're not really locked into anybody, and we're not, automatically get sent stuff or whatever. Any quote repeat customers are because we liked what we had. We either went back and asked them, or they were kind enough to offer.
And we have turned down a couple of things.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple pedals. There was a pedal that you bought,
right,
that we were going to do an episode on once,
right,
and we couldn't do it.
And it wasn't even a knock on the company. I bought it before we started the channel, I believe. I bought it and thought that it did something, watched demos, got it on my board, and started playing it. And I'm like, this does not do what I really thought it would do. But what I thought it would do was part of what might fit into a series. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
I think we spent 45 minutes one night trying to figure it out, wasted 45 minutes, eventually put it aside. There was another pedal that we did, and we did an episode and released the episode, but we're very clear. Like I said, we're not recommending, based on what we like, that might not be what you like, but there was another pedal that we did. And at the end, we did recommend that this pedal would be really, really good for somebody who doesn't know what kind of modulation they like, wants an entry-level modulation pedal with a lot of options, but probably not the pedal that the magic pedal. It's not the Wampler Terraform. Right?
In case you're wondering.
Right. Well, I mean, this pedal,
on par with quality and
it's not. You could put a Terraform on your board and be really, really happy. This was not probably for somebody who's gigging the right pedal.
Right.
And we tried to mention that.
Yeah.
And then there was another pedal.
Good.
Real quick, there was another pedal that we were going to record, and there was something that we didn't. There's a minor maybe flaw in the design. And we talked to the company. We went to the company, asked them about it. They're actually looking at fixing it. So it's kind of like on hold until they take care of that little tiny little glitch that's in it. And it didn't have to be. And I've watched other videos on YouTube, and you can hear that tiny little glitch.
Well, and real quick, and I know we said we're going to keep this short, but see, that's been interesting too about developing relationships with these manufacturers. They've obviously had emails, answered emails. Some of them have taken and received and given phone calls, had conversations with us about, hey, this is what we're hearing, have held the cell phone up, shot a video and sent it to them, said, should it be doing this? So I think it's a beneficial relationship for both of us. We're like, are we using this right? Is there something wrong? They're like, oh, we know about that, or wow, we didn't know that. So it's been interesting from that perspective. But one thing I was going to say when you were talking about that other modulation pedal we did, we also are trying to do different things at different price points, right? We're trying to give a flavor of what's out there. And even when we do a series, there might be something that's 40, 50, 60 bucks, and there's something that's $400. So, there are times that, do we review something that, we don't end up keeping, or it's a different price point or whatever? Sure. But we just want to have a broad representation of, especially of a Leslie pedal, or an envelope filter, which we haven't really found any cheap ones of those yet, by the way. But we're trying to show what's out there, right? We've done comparison videos of a Behringer TS808 copy and my real TS808. So we're trying to do a lot of variety, a lot of things, different price points. So even when we had, and I thought it was a brilliant point that you made, even when we had this thing that we're just like recommended who might want it, it still wasn't like, go buy this one, click on this Amazon link, go get it today, you won't be sorry, or whatever. We're just trying to be organic. We're trying to be honest about it, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, the other thing too, along with that, you have a $500 pedal. Somebody gives you a discount on it, and you get it for $400. That means we invested $400 in that pedal to put it on our show.
Right.
Then we sat down and learned the pedal. We recorded the pedal. We edited the videos on the pedal, and we put it out. So yeah, I guess it's a paid promotion, but it's a really poor paying job. It's a really terrible paying job.
Hashtag sweatshop, if I'm allowed to say that.
Right. I mean, the amount of time and effort. I mean, basically, I think it comes down to this. Like, if all it took was for you to send an email to a company and say, hey, I'm going to make a video, send me your pedal. And talking to Dave Barber, Dave told me he gets daily gets multiple emails daily asking for free pedals so that people can put them on their YouTube channel.
Right.
And I can honestly tell you that we have never just said, will you send us a free pedal?
Right.
Like that's without going through the whole approach and the trade secret, maybe, not that it's a secret, but that's not the approach that we've taken with companies, to be like, hey, send us free stuff. That's just not what we've done.
Right.
We focus more on how can we build relationships of trust, with these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, like Pat said, we're doing things that we like.
Right.
We're doing things that we like. So, yeah, I think that about covers it. I hope Jonathan over there at the Tone Lounge, I hope that answers your question. I would certainly be happy to talk more about it with him. I keep thinking that at some point in time, Jonathan and us, the Tone Lounge, and we have to do something together. I don't know what that would look like, but there has to be something we put together with him, because he just seems like a great guy. And again, if you haven't checked out that channel, go and do that.
Right.
Anything that you want to add?
Well, I was trying to think, I feel like one other time there was a comment that we actually shot a video on. So we're not going to do this for every question, but it was a great question, and it was a timely one. And again, we've joked, we get other questions like, are you high? So we're probably not going to shoot a video about that. No, but we're not going to shoot a video about it. So, I'm kind of glad we had this conversation. It almost, I don't know. It just kind of, how do I say this? I think this works because this works, right? Like the friendship, the passion, the commitment, the different skill sets, what each of us brings to the party. And trust me, Jason brings a lot more to the party when it comes to the technical side and all of that. I think that's why it works. That's why a company, just to name a company, like Fender, is willing to engage us at the time when we didn't even have 1,000 subscribers, probably, right? They because they saw kind of what we did and thought, okay, that's cool, that works, and they took a risk or a chance, however you want to look at it.
I think Dave from DSL is another great example, right? Because we sent him the thing, and the what we were doing when we were doing that Leslie Sound series, even though it was the same kind of maybe pitch that we're using now, wasn't probably as refined.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of emailed me back. He's like, yeah, I might be, that sounds like a neat idea, Leslie series. What's your YouTube page again, so I can watch some of your videos? And I thought, well, there we go. He's not in. Right. And he wrote back, he's like, I love what you guys are doing. And I mean, again, like you said, I mean, we didn't even have we got like 600 followers at that point. So,
right. And again, that's not to toot our own horn, but that's just saying, what we've been trying to say in this video is we're two real guys doing this for fun, some strategy in there, and there's rules and regulations and all of that. But if it's working at any level, it's because it is pretty organic and it's pretty pure, and we're trying to be good and fair to people, and we've been given that in return. And uh, and when people see it, we get positive. You get your flamed comments every once in a while, but we get a lot of positive feedback, especially for those who have engaged with us. And we send them a video that we're like, I'm not sure that video was that great, and they're like, oh, we loved it, and they send us back an email, and then they put stuff on social media and things that they don't have to do. When you have the same pedal put on their social media that Pete Thorne did a review about, really, seriously, like, you don't have to do that. That's what we say all the time. They don't have to do that, right? They didn't pay us to do something that they now have to go do that. If I'm making sense, like, it's just,
Yeah.
It works because it works. It works because something in those companies resonates with us, that we want to engage them, and in return, many times something that we did for them or with them resonated with them, and they're like, "Yeah, I'd like to do something with these guys again."
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So the answer: do we get free stuff? Like, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. If you're looking at it strictly from a monetary, did a pedal show up that we didn't send money out for? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at it from the time and effort that we put into that product to give it a fair, unbiased, because I think it's unbiased, because it's not really even a review. It's more like, here's what it does. Like, we're not
Right.
If you look at the time and effort that goes into that, then no. And I think my biggest problem with clicking the paid promotion thing, and this sounds silly, but I don't want to deceive people.
Right.
So everybody's talking about, like, oh, if you don't say it's free, if you don't say it's discounted, if you don't say you're paid, that's deceiving people. But there's a part of me that feels like, if I click that paid promotion, I'm deceiving you into thinking that this company trusted our channel enough to give us money to promote their product.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right. Yeah, it's a complex issue. It's simple, but it's very complex. And I'd like to think, for the average YouTube viewer, unless someone wrote you a check, you're not getting paid. My opinion. I have to put quotes around that. My opinion, right?
Yeah,
So,
and obviously we get it. That's not what the law says. Like, we get that.
right, and we did appreciate watching the amazing video that Shane and the Blues put together, and the people that he had on their big YouTubers giving their opinion. I mean, Henning's just like, hey, if it's $1,000 pedal and you got it for 500, you got paid, right? But to me, you only got paid if you flip that pedal for more than $500. If you actually sold it and got $500 for it,
right?
Which, anyway, we're getting good.
We could get into the whole, like, you can't do 30 tremolo pedals and keep 30 tremolo pedals.
Right.
So, there is a turnover of those pedals, but then how do you fund the envelope filter series, which envelope filters tend to be fairly expensive, even with a discount? Well, you sell 20 of the 30 tremolo pedals and you roll that into the next series. And then how do you fund the next series? Well, you sell the majority of the envelope filters and you roll that into the next series. And so that's
well, even to that point, right now, that's still just a theory for us. There's a spreadsheet that our accountant, that guy right there, keeps, that shows that we're upside down or even at best, and I don't think we're even. So even with that theory, over time that could happen, but we still haven't gotten rid of, sold / whatever of the things that maybe we want to, because we're like, oh, we need it again someday, and what do we want to keep? So even with that theory, we've never exercised that theory fully.
Oh, then you got cameras and you got microphones, and
sure.
Like you had said about trying to protect the manufacturers from every Tom, Dick, and Harry sending them an email asking them for free stuff. And to that, I just say, like, put 2 years into it, get your cameras, get your microphones. They don't have to be great ones, but because we're not using top of the line microphones, whatever. figure it out, do the episodes, put out something every 2 weeks, build up that, and then, I mean, probably will send you free pedals too. But and that is not like a cocky kind of thing to say.
No,
it's there's the reality of it is it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work
That meets the eye. Yeah, it meets the eye.
With that, thanks for watching.
But we love it. We wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. Right?
Like, we're having a blast.
Why would you be upside down potentially on something and spend all this time and energy on it if you didn't love it? And I think the day that we stop loving it, or the day that it starts feeling dirty or icky, we're out, because that's not why we're doing it. So
I mean, the hope is someday we won't be upside down in it. But I mean, it's like a 10-year plan to,
sure.
let's do it for a while and see what happens.
Right.
Package shows up on the front porch. Honey, it's for the show.
That's right. That's right. It's the same thing. Your wife comes in with a new pair of shoes. Oh, these things, they've been in the back of my closet forever. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying.
Oh my gosh. I think at this point we say, with that, thank you.
Yes, that's right.
We always take a moment to thank everybody that's watching, hitting the subscribe button, clicking notifications, hitting like, going out to Instagram or Facebook. Anytime you interact with the show, it helps us get more free stuff.
Yes. He just played his hand. After 32 minutes and 41 seconds, he just really played our hand and just showed this whole video was a complete sham.
No, it does help support the channel, and we appreciate that.
It does. Yeah, and with that, I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, never have too much gear. Especially when it's free. Or heavily discounted.
Nice.
We've just undone all our hard work here.
Right. All right. I'm going to